What's up, witches? It is Devin. It is Wednesday. We are here to talk about books because I like books. Do you like books? I'm pretty sure you like books. I have one of the people who, he's my publicist over at Llewellyn Worldwide. He's joining us today. We are going to talk about the new releases that are coming out this spring from Llewellyn Worldwide. And I got to tell you, there's some really good stuff coming. There is a whole lot of good stuff coming. And not only is it like new stuff, but it's actually like good new stuff. Like I felt like we went through a little dry period, and I'm going to say this next week when I've got Sam McCora here from Wiser to talk about the Wiser selections and the things that are going on there. But I got to be honest with you, friends. I feel like we had a dry spell. I feel like things got a little, I don't know. I felt like we weren't getting a bunch of great new content. I feel like that has broken. So let's talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Everybody say hi to Markus. How you doing, Markus?
Hello, everybody. This is really cool. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm so excited that you agreed to do this. I was at a conference and I was like, why don't I just talk to the publicists directly? Like, why not just do that? Wouldn't it just be so much easier? Because often there's books that I don't get to. I do not see when they come out, even though I'm like always checking out the catalogs. I just don't get to it or something, whatever, right? Or as in the case of what happened with the last shipment that you sent, my husband goes through and then files everything away because books were out of order, right? So there were books and they weren't on the shelf, so I just don't see them, in the way that I would like to. So I was really excited that you wanted to come on because hopefully I can just kind of avoid that this time around. And hopefully our viewers and the listeners who are tuning in on the podcast version, audio only rather, will get some of this as well, because this is stuff that, like I said, there's a lot of really cool new content that is available this year. So let me start off with this. So real quick, can you summarize your job there at Llewellyn so people know who the fuck we're talking to? How about that?
Yeah, totally. I'm a publicist here at Llewellyn Worldwide. It's actually a pretty awesome job. Basically, my job is to make sure the big wide world, I mean, literally the entire world, knows what's coming out and when it's coming out and who the books are written by and what they're about. And it's a big job. But it's really cool. It's really fun. I primarily work with, the witchy sphere, kind of like your podcast, but other podcasts, newspapers, magazines. I help get events for authors and help out at conferences and trade magazines. And if there's a book that has a specific topic that isn't just about witchcraft, it's like, okay, who is talking about those topics, and how can we get them an interview in that magazine or on that podcast? So it's a pretty cool job. I really like it. It's very fun. I've been in the community for a long time, so to be able to work in the community and work with people whose work I've admired forever is pretty awesome. So I think that summarizes what I do, even though it's a lot of moving pieces.
No, and very well. I mean, I knew you like through the socials, and you were part of Black Rose, and then suddenly you were my new publicist, and I was really excited about it. And you're great at what you do. Like you truly are great at what you do. So thank you for everything that you do for me and my guys. So is there anything this year? Well, actually, let me ask you this question. Yeah. Is there a title that came out last year from Llewellyn that you thought did not get enough attention, or that you felt you wished would have gotten more attention? Let's start with that, because I know that's a tricky question, but as we're talking about new books, what about like last year? Like, is there anything that you thought we all missed?
So 2023, that is one of the things that is difficult in this job. Is I work with so many books. I mean, the catalogs are packed with really awesome stuff. So like you were saying in the beginning, how do we are the things that we've missed? So 2023, Llewellyn's complete book of North American folk magic. So cool, edited by Corey Thomas Hutchinson, who one of the hosts of New World Witchery. So awesome to be able to work with him. I've been listening to his podcast since it came out back in 2010. oh no, I don't have a copy available. It's in that cube, which is full of books from last year and years gone by, that people still ask for. So that's definitely a title that I think is going to have some legs and people are going to be referencing for years and years to come, because it has contributors from all sorts of folk magic practices. I think there's 25 contributors.
That's big.
Dorsey, Benabel Wen, H. Byron Ballard. Those are just three that come to the top. So yeah, that one is fabulous. Jack Chanick's book that came, Queen of All Witcheries, came out, and that is a fantastic look at the kind of late 1800s, early 1900s occultists and how they were viewing the goddess. So, think Edward White and some of the Golden Dawn folks. And I think that's a title that some people missed, but it's important part of our history, the lineage of witchcraft in both America and in England. And yeah.
I pulled that one aside because that one I looked at and I instantly knew, I could tell it was different, and it was drawing from, or at least discussing, things that I've always found super inspiring. Like when people talk about like Diana, like it all originates from that kind of, for me, like it all originates from that kind of sphere, that view of the witch queen. So I haven't pulled off the site. I haven't started to read it yet, but it's on my, like, it's in my TBR pile right now. Totally. And so that one tickled my fancy. I'm really excited about that.
It's good, and Jack is such a fantastic writer. He's just got it's dense. It's a little on the academic side, but I really like that. I've got my master's degree. I'm a better student than a teacher, so I love devouring anything like that. So definitely, if you're interested in the history of what has influenced what we're doing today and what we'll be doing in the future, that's a fantastic book.
Yeah,
totally.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about spring. Let's talk about the new releases. And I know one of the things that I'm like particularly dedicated to this year is focusing on debut authors, because I feel like when my debut year, it was just maddening. Like there was so much going on and I didn't know what to do and who to talk to. And it was just the whole thing. And I feel like just in general, in the industry, debut authors either get a really, 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 really good time or they have a horrible time. Like there's very little middle ground there. So I'm particularly interested in hearing about debut authors and what they're bringing to the table, because this discussion of occultism that we're all having is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I got a fantastic one, just came out in February. Hades. Speaking of really great authors, Jamie Wagner has written for a couple magazines before, but her voice and her dedication to obviously Hades, but also the history and the myths and what was written down then and how it can be applied now. If you're at all interested in chthonic deities, in Greek mythology, if you're remotely interested in those topics, Jamie Wagner is this is her debut book. You're not going to want to miss this. It's so good. And the cover art is fabulous. Like, it's got the hellebore over here and the pomegranate, so all these kind of underworld plants and associations with that. That's rooted in text, but applied in a very modern context. So definitely Jamie Wagner's really, really fabulous. So well written.
That sounds exciting. Matt says that it's on his reading list, and that's the thing. I know that's we're looking for, with the Modern Witch Book Club. We're definitely on the lookout for those sort of things. So that's on his short list of like, hey, this might be a thing. I will say, sexy cover. I'm all about the sexy covers. That was a super sexy cover. We're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I do. And I write them, and I still judge a book by its cover. So that's very nice. It's very nice.
That's what I like about Llewellyn. There's so many people here that touch every book, including a full cover art department. So like, this was done in-house. This is so cool. Like, this art was done in-house. But we also work with independent artists as well, and we contract those things out. So,
do you see what he does? He said we have it. It's just filed away in the library already. I told you, he gets them and then he files them into the library. It's like, there's a book out of place. It's the thing.
So yeah, I
Sorry, I
get it
just
on
had
the
to share
other
everybody. I had to share that with everybody. It's as proof of what I was talking.
end. We've got
Yeah, so
stacks,
that's sexy.
and
So
mine
that
says,
is.
"Can you just put it in the? Can you put it in the shelf? It's just
Can you put it
it's
on the
been
shelf?
sitting on a stack for weeks. Please put it away."
Yeah, no. I mean, it happened. We have so many books to give away this spring and summer. Like we've been planning this, and so we've been collecting, and so there's 2 boxes, I think, of books to give away.
Oh boy.
And then there's like, and those are like duplicates or things that we've just collected over
Yeah.
the years. And then really last couple of years, so they're all pretty fresh titles. And then there's there's just the stack of this just came in this week or this just came in this month and it hasn't been filed yet. But he doesn't really let it go between moons, I've noticed. So yeah, he doesn't let a full moon cycle go without putting the books away. Okay, so Hades is going to take us into a serious contemporary look
Mhm.
at working with the god of the underworld and
Yeah.
what it means to have a relationship with that, which is really cool. I'm enjoying this kind of resurgence of Greek and Roman work because I felt like for so long, and there's nothing against this, and I love Celtic titles, and I'm a Celtic person myself and all this stuff, but I felt for so long we went to this like other place in the West, whereas when like you and I were kids,
Mhm.
Greek and Roman mythology was a big deal, right? And
How
working
long
with
ago
that,
was
we had
that?
Zeus we had Xena and we had Hercules. We had
Oh
all of those
yeah.
shows that were just so much part of culture, feeding into what was popular in witchcraft at the time. And then things went to a very Celtic kind of Viking place the last probably 10, 15, 20 years. And so now I like this. I've seen more titles and more people going back to that Greek Roman work. And I love it because it is in so many ways the mythology of the West, and being able to reintroduce ourselves to that as contemporary magicians, I think is brilliant.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's
And
really
there's more coming out this year. Check the fall catalog. I'll say that.
well, you have to come back and talk to us about the fall catalog.
Done.
All right. Okay. What else?
So this comes out. So this is kind of a little bit. This isn't full witchy. This isn't a spell book. This isn't working with deities. But the Once and Future Witch Hunt by. I just want to make sure I always get her name right. Alice Macram. Oh yeah, you got a copy too. Cantor. This is a really great book. Not only is the author a journalist and a fact checker, and like has a really great sense of words, and I enjoy reading her writing. That's really important with me. Is am I going to be able to read an entire person's book? But she's a fabulous writer. This looks at her own descent, her own ancestry in the Salem witch trials from a kind of a historical fiction lens. But the other half of the book is looks at contemporary experiences of people being accused of witchcraft today. So, where is this happening in the world today? And how can we look at what happened in Salem as kind of a template or an example of what's going on today? So, it's definitely a more contemporary book. It's not super witchy, it's not filled with practices or anything like that. But it looks at how witches in not America are being people being called witches are being persecuted today, and how their land is being stolen, and how they're being kicked out of their cities and villages, and being demonized in some cases or killed in some cases, just as what happened here 150 200 some years ago. So a really good book. I think it's really important to kind of not get too insular with the fact that we can be, here and say that, yeah, we practice witchcraft and post things online and kind of have our communities, which are wonderful and beautiful.
It's privilege.
Privilege. That is 100% the word. And I think this kind of examines that in several contexts. So, and she's a fact checker for the New York Times, I believe, The Nation. She's written in Scientific American, like author of a very high caliber of research went into that book. It was so well written, and that comes out in May.
That is, yes, it's been sitting here. I've started to dive into it, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah,
so
totally
I kind of put it down and went, I have to give this a different type of attention. And it's and listen, I love books that take us to different aspects of just living and culture, and especially when those things are adjacent to who I am and how I draw my identity. And so, I'm always looking at things, obviously, from our occult perspective, but a queer perspective, and a Midwesterner perspective, and a California. I mean, all of the different things that I draw my identity from. Right. What gets me though is that it's a privilege to be in a place where I can have a podcast and do these things. And I completely know that and recognized that very early on, because I had somebody contact me from Africa, and no, they weren't like a Nigerian prince looking for money. It was a legit person saying, hey, this is a problem. And is there anything that you can do to basically information you can give me to help this person who's been accused of witchcraft and is not having a very good time in their life. And we talked about it years and years ago. There's a show, go look at it. But it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening to think that there are people who are still very much being persecuted for nothing. That's the thing, is they're using this image of who we are and what we draw strength from as a weapon against innocent people to cause a lot of harm. And these are important things to talk about.
Acquire their land, acquire their property, to scapegoat them, all sorts of reasons people victimize others, which is some of the undergrad work that I did when I was in college. And to be able to loop around and work on a book like this is just fantastic. So I like that my education can actually I'm using it. Who knew?
Yeah. Oh, good point, Matt. Matt brought up that's the whole reason Laurie Cabot made Salem a place to teach witchcraft from. And it really was a reclaiming of that identity here in America. And today is Laurie Cabot's 91st birthday. Wow. So if anybody's out there, happy birthday, Laurie. It's a big deal. Yeah, she is truly, truly a witch queen. We love Laurie Cabot. Okay. I'm going to make sure I actually finish that book. It may take me through the summer to get through it, but I'm going to actually finish that. And I think that's something that, it's hard to read. Those things are hard to get through, but I think it's so important.
It's hard, but then you also have the fiction, the historical fiction aspect of it, which can kind of educate and entertain in a different way. So I think it's a fantastic balance of a book.
And that's really interesting too, because Llewellyn had, at one point, what was it, like Midnight Ink, which was like an imprint that was a fiction imprint, and then that went poof. And so there's the dipping of the toe just a little bit back into fiction is exciting to me. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's actually, I'm on social media, not only for my job, but my personal interest and practice and stuff. But I love seeing different people who have written these kind of books to say, hey, I'm dipping my toes into fiction. I know you're doing that, and I know several other folks are doing that. So that's very exciting. My outside reading free time is a lot more fiction, fantasy, science fiction, audiobooks. So that's very fun for me.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's next?
Well, we've got all sorts of things, but The Bee Tarot.
Yes.
By Christopher Hughes.
Oh my God.
Illustrated by Nadia Turner.
Yes. I do have. I was just talking to Jen Sankey about this.
Yes.
This is so good. Oh my God, I'm going to lick it.
So cool.
That's how good this is. That's how good this is. I am so impressed. And one of the things too is when I opened it up on a live, everyone was oohing and ahhing. As I was going through it, I'm recognizing that he is so spot on with these cards, so spot on. And he has oh yeah, Matt's like, you stole it. Yes, I stole it. It is in the studio. It is not leaving the studio. It is so freaking gorgeous. And it's the everything about it is honestly top of the line, Marcus. Yeah. For a minute there, I was like Llewellyn's, I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be real as a consumer. And I feel like I can be a little more direct because I'm an author there. I feel like we had really awesome tarot coming out, and then the card stock went meh for a couple years, and now that's fixed. I absolutely. So if you're one of those people, which I know there are a lot of us out there who was complaining about the cardstock that were coming out. This isn't a problem. This is awesome. These are not only gorgeous. I adore these. I adore the cardstock, and it's
so cool.
Ugh, 8 of Swords. Can we just have a moment?
Yeah, like
look at
the
that.
art is so surreal.
These are gorgeous. I did a reading with these, and I was shook. So spot on, and even like, okay, let's show the Devil card. I feel like the Devil card, the Wheel of Fortune, like there are certain cards that like everybody you should just look at in a deck and be like, you can judge a deck by these cards. The Devil card is one of them. So
I mean, look at that.
I mean, it's you know, big business taking over. You don't even need the book, right? You can tell what's going on here. So well done. So well done.
I think this is a perfect deck. If you're a professional tarot reader or semi-professional, and you're like, oh, I've got a few decks. I like this one for love readings. This is so good for like career, money, physical things. Because you have the B connection with like working and community, and the Devil's a big businessman. This is such a good deck for that. Look how cool that is.
Oh, these are so pretty. Yeah, I'm. This is probably not going to go back. I don't know. Matt will come in, and if it's not being used, he'll take it and put it back on the shelf. But it's 3 of Swords. All right, we have to show that one.
Right. It's stunning. It's such cool art. And then you've got Christopher Hughes writing the book, who's fabulous. I could listen to
Christopher
that man
Hughes,
talk
I think,
forever.
is brilliant and is one of our like unsung heroes in general, like and modern occultism. Really, really smart guy. Was really a pleasure. I got to meet him, I think, at Pantheacon many months ago. But yeah, so this is a gorgeous deck. I'm going to be doing pictures with this deck. Like I have it set aside for reasons. Let's talk about the book that comes with it though, because this was so well done. Let's just, friends, can we just have a moment?
I know, isn't it beautiful?
Appreciate all the full colorness, the glossy pages.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So and I'm just going to talk about this for a second. For $32.99. You're getting this book. This is a book, okay? Full color book. You're getting all of the cards, Avi, right? You're getting this super sweet box, because this box with the magnetic clip is not, and I feel like I'm like your QVC person now, but I'm just so into this. I'm so into this. This clip, it's solid. Like the whole thing is solid. I can put this on my shelf. It's not going anywhere. I have bought DVD sets that are less sturdy than this. So like in all seriousness, so this is really well done. Like this was really well done. As somebody who pays attention to the industry, I was super impressed. Like this is, do you see the embossing?
Yeah, it's got that nice spot glossing. If you want to talk about production value and spot glossing, just wait for Laura Tempest Zakroff's new deck coming out in the fall. You're gonna be blown away. Yeah.
This pleases me.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah, this is just so well done, and I feel like we're back, baby. Like that's the vibe with the decks here. So this is something I'm super excited about. Everybody go get this deck. You're gonna see it in my things a lot this summer for sure, because the vibe is so on point with because I feel like this year is the year of people finally getting that shit done that's been holding them back and moving forward with things that they want in their life. Like I'm seeing this all across the board. People are just done and moving on. This is a deck that is totally in that vibe. And it is like, how do we rise up and become the queen, right? The queen.
It's so good.
I love it. So good. Oh, so good. Jen, Jen and I were just talking about, Jen's here. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
I would just... Yeah, we're gonna gush over this when you and I have when we talk about our weird tarot. Even though this isn't a weird tarot, we're gonna talk about this because I know you're in love with this too. Okay,
it's so surreal. It's so cool. I love it. And
so
again,
good.
I love I can go to work and work on a project like this. It's so cool.
Jelly.
It's kind of fun. Yeah, but you get to talk to all sorts of people. You get to take to all sorts of people. It's great. I've been listening to your show forever. It's one of my favorites.
14 years, man.
That's a long time.
It's a
I was just
freaking long
thinking
time.
that this morning. No, that's awesome. Do we want to
Okay.
talk about your book? Do we want to talk
I
about
mean,
your
we
book?
certainly can. I guess I wasn't planning on it, but sure.
Well, I mean, I got a
I
copy
do have a
here.
copy of that.
It's got the spot glass and the beautiful Ciolo Thompson.
So pretty. Oh.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a beautiful book.
First of all, so as an author, you get to, like, when it comes down to how does something look, you get a very limited amount of input, and it's because money, resources, the crazier you go, the more expensive stuff gets for the buyer. Like, you want to keep things as reasonable as possible, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, the artwork. So when I came to them and I was like, all right, I really want to do a hardback. I want to do this green. I don't know. I can't remember what this is called, but it's like got this special term for this little inside thing.
The
And
end papers?
I think maybe that is what it is. And so I was like, no, I want it to be like this. And I had a different kind of idea in my head. This works out way better. But just so beautiful. And my interior designer for the book is Becky Zenz, and she has done everything Modern Witch for me. So, like, she did the two crystal there, the crystal book, and she did the Modern Witch Spells and Recipes. She also, I think, did my other books, my first three, my first series. So I just have this really great relationship with her, and I just trust her. So, like, we had some issues, like in the back there was something that didn't, like, the artwork that I had sent in wasn't clear, and so the artist interpreted it a little funky, and we had this back and forth, and I was like, no, I don't have time to, like, go crazy over this. I trust you. I trust what's going on. Like, just go do it. And and she was like, oh, okay. Because I know that it's gonna look good. I know that she's going to do the things to make sure it looks good and it's beautiful. And I just don't worry about things. Like, I'm like, this is what I want. Just do it. And I trust you. Like, it's fine. Amazing. So I had the full team. I had Alicia Gallo as my editor, and then I got to work with a couple, I think, copy editors that I hadn't worked with, which were amazing. But incredible. I had a really great team. And then, can we just talk about Ciolo Thompson?
How cool is that? This is her second piece that she's on in this catalog.
She's on fire, and she's the shit. These images, friends, like, beautiful. This is the diagram we have in here for light, so you can understand, like, what is, like, bright, direct light, indirect light, like that kind of thing. And she just made this beautiful witchy altar room, and that's the example. I mean, just the whole thing. And I'm a big watercolor fan, so I've always loved her work. And when she came up as an option for somebody that I could work with, I was like, oh. So it was a no-brainer.
That's awesome. If you like watercolor work, there's something in the works that's several catalogs from now, but it's watercolor. It's going to be amazing. It's fantastic. I can't say, but spoilers.
Spoilers. All right. Well, you just have to come back and talk about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Right now, everybody, I can just, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this at home, the biggest help that you could be right now is to pre-order it. That's a really, really, pre-orders are so big. They are so big for us, especially on Amazon, because those lists are difficult. The other thing, if you're like, hey, I can't swing it right now, Devin, that's okay too. Put it on your wish list. Mm-hmm. That is a big help as well. So just making a wish list and putting that on there, like, just that little bit. And then when you do get your hands on a copy, which should be soon, because I know they're going to start shipping out pretty in the next couple of weeks. When you do get a copy, hop on over and just write a review, an honest review. I'm not asking you to give me fake 5 stars. I stand by this. Llewellyn stands by this. This is a damn good book. Just go out and give an honest review. That's all we need, right? And so just those little things, super duper helpful. And that's not just with me. That's with every author across the board. If you can't pre-order, put it on a wish list. And when you do finally get your hands on it, go forth and review. Please review. Review the content, not the shape of the book. If the book comes in it's bent or something, go to Amazon and complain. Don't put it in the review, because that's bad. But anyway, yes, just please buy my book. Please buy my book.
It's a great book. Like, you were just showing that picture about the different kind of lightings. I'm a big gardener. I love plants, but, like, for someone to go through and go, okay, this is what this kind of lighting means, and give an illustration, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
For
well,
that
my
kind
thing
of
was
material. Like, it's
when we
fantastic.
sat down and we're kind of thinking of like, what are the main points? Like, what is the thing that you want to keep driving home over and over again? And my thing was like, well, when we get to work with plants in an indoor setting, we're bringing Mother Nature in, we're meeting her halfway. And that's a really important thing to me as a pagan person. But even more so beyond that, when you bring these plants in and you start working with them, if they get sick or if they get spider mites and these things are like part of your magical system, like it can be a little bit of a mind fuck. So I know a lot of witches who are like, no, the energy, I can't control it as much, or I can't, whatever. I get it. And so a big part of the book was approaching the care and feeding, rather, of plants, of your indoor plants from a magical perspective. So for the magically minded out there, for those of us who believe our plants have more than just, some pretty leaves to share with us, and that there's something else going on there, this is the book that is the love letter really to that work. And to get Juliet Diaz to write the foreword was like a huge thing, because we barely know, we know each other, but we like barely know each other. It's kind of one of those things, like we're acquaintances, we've texted, and she's come on and she did horticulture, the event, a couple of times, and hopefully she'll be back next year. And it's just, it was incredible, because like, who am I to go to Juliet Diaz? Hey, Juliet Diaz. But she's just so sweet and amazing, and her heart is always in the right place. And so I love people like that. And she's at the time, it was her and Erin Murphy Hiscock. They were the only two who had been writing about like houseplants, like really making an effort to make sure some of the really basic common ones were included in those plant magic books that they were writing. And that was really freaking cool. So, this is, even though it focuses completely on houseplants, it really, there are some beautiful kind of predecessors to it. And so Juliet lending some of that energy, I think, is just amazing. So, and the thing that I'm really excited about is the sexy black ribbon. Sexy.
It's wonderful.
You see how sexy?
The production value on this book is so good.
It's amazing. It really matters to me what my books look like, and like, I mean, to the point where I go a little crazy over it. And I always get like better than what I want. Like, it's always just a little bit more than I was expecting. It's always just a little bit, there's always little details. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just the embossing. I just can't get over it. Anyway, okay. So yes, horticulture. You definitely want to buy horticulture, or at least wish list it. Okay.
It's a fantastic book. It's really good. And there's nothing else like it. There's really nothing else like it, which is even more exciting. It's fantastic. I think just to kind of like give a little bit of a bird's eye view, sometimes I hear people, in the community and podcasts and stuff like, oh, there's all this 101. Where's the advanced stuff? Where's the specific stuff? House plants. That's very specific.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about bees. That's, specific. There's kind of leading into another book that I'm excited that's coming out. We've got The Mandarin Tree by Pamela Chen and Samantha Blossom.
Now that Matt has stolen and has filed away. I know that. So let's talk about this, because I am so interested in Eastern stuff. I've always been interested in Eastern stuff, but there's this thing of like, I'm the bearded white guy. I can't go into, and I get it. Like, I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable in their skin or in their culture. That is not my job, right? Like, that I'm not here for that noise. But I want to know what's going on if anybody wants to share. Like, I'm that guy, right? And so when it comes to the magic of the East, it is always so inspiring, and there's always so much philosophy and just history. I mean, we're way, no offense, fellow white people, but way more history than we have. Like, it's incredible. So the more I dive into that, and the more I do, because I've taken a couple of like online courses on Eastern studies and things like that. The more I dive into things, the more just fascinated I am with the things that are born there and then kind of make their way out into the rest of the world, and to be able to trace those things back. Beautiful. So I did open this. I did start going through it. I was like, this is cool. And so it's definitely on my spring list. And I feel like it's going to be a really fast read for me too, because it seems really engaging. So who is this author? Can we talk about that? And
Pamela
Tell us
Chen
about it. Tell us
and
about it, Marcus.
Samantha Blossom. So Pamela's come out with several books, and a tarot deck, the Owl Tarot, that came out last February. So if you're into owls and like pretty colors and Pamela Chen, it's all of those things. Pamela is just this beaming rainbow energy light. She's just so lovely, and she's just this. She's fabulous. And then so she teamed up with another Asian American Taiwanese author, Samantha Blossom, to write a book about modern Asian American magic. So you've got things on various deities and ancestors from Asian traditions, and it also has a foreword by Benabel Wen, who is also amazing. This is such a great book. I think even though I don't have any particular interest in practicing these traditions, if I can read a book about them, I get to know somebody better. I get to know a group of people better. I get to see the world from a different point of view, and I think that is so incredibly valuable, especially in magical spaces, which is so deeply personal. And so I know I'm going to be reading this one because I don't know very much about Taiwanese culture or Eastern magic, but I am going to.
Yeah,
and it's a very unique take.
Right
it's
now,
very modern.
There's such a right now in the fiction world. Books by Asian authors are really big, and so we're getting a lot of Asian stories, and I know I'm into it. I cannot wait for Iron Widow Part 2. I can't wait for the follow-up for that. I can't wait for more from R.F. Kuang. I can't wait for these authors to just come in and take the space over and tell these stories. So this was cool to me because I had just finished Babel, and
was that good?
It was. It's a Dark Academy kind of thing, and those are hit or miss for me because at some point I'm just like, I don't want to be depressed in a library. It's
that was my early 20s. We don't need to go back.
Right, and I will say it's by far one of the most interesting magical systems I've read about. Cool. And it's so simple and it makes sense. So that's all brilliant. But yeah, it was good. I mean, it was good. It wasn't my favorite book of the year last year, but it was good, and it was grounded in history and rooted in some really, it was historical fiction, right? So it was rooted in some very real things that we deal with from both cultural perspectives, the West and the East. And so when I was going through Mandarin Tree, I was looking at specifically, we live here in Sacramento, in the Sacramento River Valley, we're kind of there between that and the San Francisco Bay. And so we have a huge community here of people from Eastern Asia, from people, all throughout the islands, and there's the peninsulas and Japan, and I have been exposed to so many different types of people, and every single time I get a chance to go into a situation where I can learn more about my neighbors, fuck yeah.
Right.
Be a good neighbor, right? So just from a cultural perspective, go take a class, go listen to some podcasts, friends.
Yeah.
You'll do yourself a favor. If you're a witch, though, if you're a magical person, there's this other side, and it's a way for us to connect a little deeper and understand a little deeper. And that to me is what I'm excited about. So I'm here for that. And Mandarin Tree is, like I said, I think it's gonna be a quick read. I think it's gonna be because it's a jelly bean.
They're very accessible. They're very accessible. And this is certainly not shade to Benabel, but her books are very thick. They're very long and extremely detailed. And I love it so much.
Benabel doesn't drop little things. This is true. Yes. This is very true.
But she wrote the foreword, so I think if you kind of get Benabel saying, hey, this is going to be great, I think you can read this, and they're so accessible. And Matt said that they present all of this in terms of an open practice. So this isn't saying here, we're sharing secrets, we're telling people not to do stuff. This is saying, hey, here, this is from us, try it out, or even just read about it. There's nothing, we're not.
Well, and there's things too,
breaking oaths.
How many people have the coin, the frog with the coin in their mouth? How many people have that? How many people, so the little altars and statues and things that we incorporate into our life all the time, and we don't even know where they come from.
Yeah.
And so go learn.
The Lucky Frog is in here.
Read about it.
I believe there's stuff on dragons in here, which I know you would
Dragons.
particular interest in. There's more dragon stuff coming this year and next year.
And not for me. I'm not your. I mean, I think I missed the boat on writing dragon books, and that's okay. There's because now there's gonna be a lot of dragon books. But I'm okay with that. Do you know why? Because dragons are real and dragons are everywhere, and so they will make themselves known. Okay, what's next?
All sorts of things. Okay,
Lay it
so
on us, Marcus.
I want to talk about the Sun Sign series.
Yes.
We have to talk about it. We have to
Yes.
talk about the juggernaut that is Ivo Dominguez Jr. and all of his co-authors. I grab Aries because I am an Aries. And I'm wearing red. Oh my god. But yeah, the series is finally wrapping up in August with Matt's Pisces Witch. But we've got then they will all be out in August. Think Through Scorpio Witch is the one that's coming out right now, and that is co-written by Zoe Howe, who wrote Witchful Thinking. Was that? It was 2 years ago. But she's a UK witch. Where is it? Here it is. Scorpio Witch. Dark and spooky. These covers are beautiful. Not to like harper on how wonderful the covers are, but again, these are designed in-house by the amazing Shira. That way a little ways. But yeah, these are just stunning and co-written by some truly amazing authors. Thorn Mooney with Taurus Witch, Tempest again, with Gemini Witch, Pamita with Capricorn Witch. Am I going to do this for all of them? I think so. Kobe Michael with Leo Witch. Thumper with Virgo Witch, and Patty Wigginton with Libra Witch. We got Empress with Sagittarius Witch coming out next month. We have Maria Wanderer, who some people might not know, but she's a Hellenistic astrologer. I believe she's over in Bronx based, over in New York with Capricorn Witch, and Nikki Mueller, whose galley I do not have yet, wrote Aquarius Witch with Evo. So it's fabulous, and they're so pretty and they're so fun. So if you're a witch or interested in astrology, not just your sun sign, but there's moon sign, there's ascendant information in here. They're beautiful books. And they've got contributors. They're fabulous. They're absolutely fabulous.
I have said it many times, put me on the record. Scorpio Witch has the sexiest cover out of the whole series.
It is pretty fun. Black and red, I think I can get with that.
It's like it's black, red, purple, there's some greens. And I'm such a cover snob, as we all know, I am a cover snob. It's so pretty. I'm actually like, oh no, this is going to be a color palette that I shall steal, or I'm sorry, I will use as an example of what I find appealing in a future title, because it is very sexy. And so I know Evo as an author, as a fan of his. I've had the chance to go to his conference, and he's been part of he's kind of been in and out of the modern witch world for a while, and I always thought of him as like, I knew he was a kick-ass astrologer, but his work had mostly been that I had been exposed to was about spirits. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, astrology is cool, I guess. And, I wasn't really into astrology, but then I started getting into astrology, and everyone's like, you should go talk to Evo about this. And I'm like, Evo, to me, the spirit guy? And so, and sure as hell, he's like this prolific astrologer, and he really knows his shit. So for him to write this series, we're getting it from it, not just from this person who's, obviously an experienced astrologer, and he knows what he's been doing for a minute. But we're getting it from like somebody who I think is one of the most prolific isn't really the word, but I guess prolific witchcraft authors of our generation. And we're getting it from this really tight perspective. And so here's what I was expecting. I was expecting bullshit from this. I'm not going to lie. I thought this is a money grab. Oh, Llewellyn, I rolled my eyes. And then we started getting the review copies in, and I was blown away. And it was because there was real magic in it. Like, there's real valuable information. There's stuff that you're not going to just look up and find on the Googs. Like there's real stuff in there. And then to think that like, oh, I would have totally have loved to have this, like especially in the first 10 years of my practice, just for tempering energies out alone. Like there's some really good stuff that was included. And then Evo did the extra thing of making sure there was a co-author who was of that sign, so that there was a real grounded thing going on there. And I was just really impressed when Matt was working on it, because he's the co-author for Pisces Witch. When he was working on it, I was really impressed with the process, and I was really impressed with the things that he was making sure that like he was writing about, because he's kind of a witchy, he's kind of a witchy snob when it comes to like being a Pisces. I'm not gonna, he knows his Pisces magic, like the inside of you, right? So there were things that he cared about, and Eva was like, absolutely. And it was just really cool to see the synthesis, and to know that that happened 12 times is mind-blowing. And I just can't think of the amount of work that went in to
it's crazy.
Yeah, insane.
Well, and then there's contributors for each one. There's spells, there's recipes, there's biographies of famous witches who are of that sun sign. Like, these are fabulous books. What a wonderful gift. I think this really is. Not only if you just received one, but like that's such a gift as well. But like to like contribute to the corpus of like what's being written now. Like this is a fabulous series, and I think it's gonna stand the test of time, because there are so many voices who really know what they're talking about, and coming from such like, I don't know, deep perspectives. I just think it's a fabulous project. When I saw it coming through 2 years ago, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, like I said, for how long have I been practicing? I've been practicing for a very long time. We were just talking about how we're getting old, because we just had 2 Pisces birthdays in the house. So there's lots of, but I've been practicing for a very long time, and 24 years, 25 years now. And I still got something out of this. Like in all honesty, I'm not blowing smoke up people's asses. I still learned something when I was going through. So I think these are really cool. I think that they are unique and different. And like I said, it's not at all what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot of crap, and it wasn't. It's not witch crap. It's witch gold.
It's really good. They're really cool.
Definitely. So friends, definitely go grab it. Like, I'm going to have a moment too. I know this is totally, Marcus was not expecting me to like talk about price points, but $17. I don't know. I think the digital copies were just on sale, I think, the other day that I saw. So check all of that out. But like, this is not a bad price for what you're getting at all. And it's freaking gorgeous. So like, I actually want to collect the series just because they're all going to be so sexy together. Like, that's the other thing. And my excuse for this, of course, I think I've gotten a couple I think I've got most of them so far. And my excuse for making sure I have all of them on the shelf is legitimately that they're going to be so sexy. Like, they're just going to be so pretty. This whole, I have author envy that there are 12 of these sexy covers that are just going to be like, oh, that's beautiful. Incredible. I think that's amazing. I go buy them. They are totally worth it. It is absolutely worth it. Without question. Okay.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And the last one comes out in August, and then they'll all be done, and I won't have to worry about them anymore. Because it's a lot of work. And I know Alicia, who's been the editor for them, who I know is also your editor. She's like, oh, it's finally done. It's cool. It's very cool.
It's very good stuff. I'm super impressed.
Yeah.
Go get it. Go get it. Go get at least your sign. Go get at least your sign. And the other thing too is really easy birthday present, friends. Super easy witchy birthday present. You have a witchy friend. You're like, they get a crystal from me every year. What do I do? Go get them their sun sign book. Just go do it. Just go do it. It's cheaper than going out and buying cocktails, right? Just saying.
Yeah,
and a witchy night in, going over your sun sign magic is way more interesting and way more fun than going out and partying at a club. I'm just saying, as your friend, that's what I want you to do with me. I want you to go sit down and let's do our astrology charts and drink champagne.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be those friends. You can do that with these books. Okay.
That sounds like my entire 20s. Rather than going to clubs, it was just going over to my friends' houses and playing with tarot cards and doing astrology and
that's what
practicing the LBRP. which
Yeah,
I
that's
never
what witches
managed
do.
to do, but whatever.
I mean,
That's my own fault. I would
there's a
rather go dig in the swamp, but
well, I
that's,
feel you there.
yeah.
Swamp.
It's kind of hard to do in Duluth in December when it's -4,
Mhm.
but that's where I was
That is
back in the
incredible.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
swamps are not fun places in wintertime. Just
No,
kind of
they're all frozen.
yeah, wet and cold, gross. Yes. Okay, what's next?
Good times. The last one I wanted to highlight was Sacred Tears
Ooh,
by Courtney
yes.
Weber. Again, kind of talking about how we are like, oh, everything's 101. There's nothing specific. This is hyper specific. This is talking about grief through a witchcraft lens. I was actually just speaking with Courtney the other day, and how when she was going through a period of great deep grief, and how she was looking for resources in the forms of books, and everything was either Christian or Buddhist in nature or atheist, and there was nothing that resonated with her witchcraft practices and beliefs. And she's like, well, if you see a hole in you know, fill it. So she wrote Sacred Tears, which I think is going to be a really important book, especially because there are so many people that are coming into the craft these days. We just kind of are going through another wave of interest in witchcraft. People are going to be wanting to do more than just spells and talk about astrology, which is all fun, and we have a good time with that. But there's also the times in life that aren't so fun and that are filled with loss and depression and grief. And to be able to have resources that speak to your beliefs and to give you a hand through kind of that dark night of the soul, or through those really intense dark times, I think are really, really valuable. So this book, and it's not very big. It has practices and it has affirmations, and I think it's going to be a really, really fabulous book to help a lot of people along. I think this is going to be something that therapists could recommend to their pagan and witchcraft clients,
Yeah.
to say like, well, there's this book over here. Well, it might, skip over the stuff that just says Jesus or whatever, or the universe has a plan. Well, that wasn't good enough. We
Yeah.
need more than that. So this, I think, is going to be a really fabulous and
This
helpful
was
book.
I am gonna toad on this for a second. I'm gonna give my testimony. So in all honesty, and Matt just said this in the chat. I'm gonna put it back up here. That wasn't the one I wanted to put up there. This is the one I put over there. This is I've literally said that this is a book that needed to exist for a really long time, and I was not brave enough to write it. Because it's some deep shit. And when I got I got a copy to blurb for, and Courtney and I are really good friends, and I knew that Courtney was going through some stuff that's not my story. Read the book.
Yeah.
And as a friend of Courtney's, I love Courtney and I'm sending good vibes and all the things, and Courtney was keeping me in the loop about stuff, and just my heart was always for years was going out to Courtney and just and her family, and Brian, her partner, is amazing, and they're really good people, right?
Mhm.
And so when they're going through hard times, it makes you reflect on your own stuff. And I was like, damn, well, everyone knows my dad died. Everyone knows that was a big impactful moment for me. And so when I got this book and I'm reading it and I'm learning more about the things that we didn't talk about when the tough stuff was happening, and I am going through the processes in the book because it's bringing some stuff up for me, because we're talking about really big stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've said for years, when my dad died, I was like, there's nothing out there for people like us to help with this. Like, there's nothing to help with the grief. There's nothing to, everything is kind of some mythological nonsense to me right now. I didn't need to hear about Summerland or any of that bullshit. Like, that wasn't comforting to me at all. I had real life stuff going on, and I'm a medium. I deal with dead people on the daily. But to have death come so close to you, right, and just generationally, was a big hit. And there was other grief things that were attached to that. So I didn't have anywhere to look. I went to Buddhism, and I went to I studied a lot of Dharma. I studied a lot of Dharma teachings, and that's what actually got me through my dark time. Was going to the East and studying Buddhism and studying those things, incorporating that into my life. I am a much more peaceful person now as a result of all those things, which is great. And my dad would be probably quite pleased with that, with who I am now. But I didn't have any tools, and I kind of felt like a fraud too as a priest, because I was like, I help people grieve all the time, and I'm here I hold space for them. Why can't I hold space for myself? Why can't I find the answers that I need? And part of it is some of us just have again, not all the boxes are going to be ticked, right? We're not all going to find the answers we need in mythology and in religious contexts. But when you're somebody like us, when you are plugged into the universe, when you believe everything happens for a reason, when you believe that the choices that you make and the family that you create and the life that you build is valuable and it is a spiritual experience, then things like death and loss and the other things that she talks about in the book are maddening, and they are so disempowering. And so I felt like I didn't have anything. I didn't have a way through that darkness. It took me years and years and years and years and years to get there. And I read the book. I'm on the other side of all that, right? And I read the book and I thought, fuck, this is the book I wish I had when my father died. And that's what I sent her as the blurb. And I thought it was the most real, honest thing that I could say as an author, right? But also as her friend, was this is the book I wish I had when my father died. Like, as a magical person, this is the book I wish I had had. So it's one of those things that you're not going to need it until you need it, folks. And you might already need it. That's the other thing. All right, let's just be real here. It's real magic. It's real tough stuff. And I cannot talk about it for an extended period of time without getting a little misty. But Courtney went into some really deep places with this, and I think everybody needs to take a moment and honor that, right? Big stuff.
Yeah.
I'm getting verklempt, friends. I'm getting verklempt.
No, it's important. Yeah, it's really important. Well, it sounds like there's a Facebook user who says, as a deaf midwife, having this book in my toolkit is fabulous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this will certainly be, even if we're not going through it ourselves or have gone through it, like, professionally speaking, those who work with, the dead and people who are grieving, like, what a fantastic resource.
Yeah. This book brought me to tears, and then it brought me to laughter, and it brought me to a place of feeling whole again. And I think it'll do the same thing for you or anybody you might know who's going through a grieving process. So I do highly recommend it. Yeah.
It's going to be an important one, especially for the community to know is out there. So thank you for, giving some space to be able to, like, make sure that some books that, especially if you haven't had someone die recently or you're not expecting that, you might look at, oh, I see the post on social media. Oh, that's a neat book that came out, and it's just going to pass over. But to be able to give some space to be able to talk about this book is I think very valuable. So thank you.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I love everything Courtney does. Don't get me wrong, because she's my mermaid princess. And even though, I mean, really, she's like a warrior queen. She'll always be my mermaid princess, because that's how I met her, was as a mermaid. And so, like, literally, that's how I was introduced to Courtney Weber. She was a mermaid. So she'll always be my mermaid princess, even though I know she's a warrior queen. But I love everything she does. I was not all of her books, they just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper and richer and richer and richer. And I just can't wait to see what Courtney's writing about in 20 years from now. Like, I'm legitimate. Like, there's something about her that is so magical and special. And it's a gift. It's a gift to have Courtney writing about the stuff Courtney's writing about, going places none of the rest of us are going.
Right. No, it's so important. It's so important.
Are there any other books on your roster?
Oh, there's so many.
I know, right?
I would like to say that it's a problem. There are so many. But it's not. There's so many fabulous voices coming out. I wish I had the galley or the arc copy for Tarot Every Which Way by Lilith Dorsey.
Yes.
Like, that's going to be such a fun book. That's going to be
We
fabulous.
love Lilith. Yeah.
Lilith is great. Yeah, she's so much fun. I really love hanging out with her, and her books are so good. I don't have like the cover to like go look how cool this book is, but no, it's gonna be such a good book. I'm very excited for that one to come out this summer. I'm just looking at my like spreadsheet of titles. Uh, um, oh, that's spring. I was like, where are all of them? Oh, Magic at the Crossroads by Kate Freuler. That's another August one.
So so that we've got a spring catalog, a summer catalog, right? And then there's a winter catalog, or is it a fall catalog?
So
How does it work
technically,
again?
there's three a
Yeah.
year. There's a winter catalog, and then there's a spring summer, which a lot of our titles that we've been talking about this hour are from. And then there's a fall catalog, and the fall is September through December.
So you'll have to come back on in like August, and then we'll like kind of prep us for the next round of things. But also we'll talk about anything that came out in the meantime, because there's a couple months in between, and I know there's projects. There's some really beautiful decks coming out, and there's just some really cool stuff. So definitely, because I know one of the things, and this is my other goal this year, is to connect, because I buy books. I mean, we do get review copies, and that's wonderful, but we buy books, right? Like, we are avid book buyers, and I really care about what I'm buying, and I don't want to waste my money, but I also don't know if I'm going to be into something, and it's like a whole thing. And I know that there are so many people who want to support the community, and they do that by going to their local shop and buying books, right? And that's amazing. And so be able to connect those people with the inside stuff, I think would be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's fantastic. It's great fun. This is like such an amazing year. Like, I could literally go on and on and on with how many amazing titles that are coming out this year. Like, Tempest has got stuff coming out. We got Mathley with their new book. We got Matt's coming out with 2 books, technically, 1.5.
Yep.
Anthony Dawn. Gosh, what have I already worked on? Malia, that came out last November. Ciolo's deck. Like, it's an amazing year. It's an absolutely amazing year. And from my foresight in the future, i.e., what I have access to through the database, it's not stopping. It's only getting even better.
Yeah. I'm really excited about, and Matt just mentioned Tempest's new sigil deck. That's going to be off the hook. So many good things. Okay, so you'll definitely have to come back, and you'll definitely have to talk about like what's going on in the fall catalog. So we'll figure that out for like August time, and that'll be super fun. Thank you for taking time out of your busy work day to like make this happen. I know that you are because there's a lot of books coming out. There's a lot of stuff happening. So I know you're working. I also know, just because of our email exchanges, that there's a lot going on. So like, you know, I can't wait. I got pictures. We'll talk later. We haven't told anybody yet, but people know that there's a thing coming. They know that there's like a big collab in the work, but they don't know what it is yet. That's awesome. You do. So we're just going to tease them for a second.
Oh yeah.
That I got pictures yesterday of the artist doing the thing. And so that I could see the process, and cool. I squeed so loud that I scared the cat. But it's going to be so cool. Oh my goodness! So I'll make sure. Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as I get the next steps with that, then we'll get to share with the world. But yeah, big things coming, and then the other collab is coming along nicely too. So there's so many collabs, there's so many things happening, Marcus. And I know you're instrumental in helping me set these things up. And I will say you're the person that helped me get the deal with magic.com, which is amazing. So they'll have House Plant Horticulture at the end of the month. You can get signed copies through magic.com, and they're going to be on sale. So that's something to keep an eye on too, friends.
That if you're sale at magic.com, I believe, is the weekend of the 14th. Oh, I still need to got confirmation about that, but it's coming up. So if you don't follow magic.com on Instagram, that's magic with a K, on Instagram, they post their signed copy sales. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure you'll announce it as well. So
We'll share all the things.
Share all the things. So then you get a signed copy of the Big Fabulous Book.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, and I
All
think
right.
the weekend before you is I just dropped a jar of bats. Would you believe that?
I do believe that.
Anyways, I think the weekend before yours is signed copies of B Tarot. So yeah,
now
Magic
that
Dot
I will totally
really
be keeping an eye on that. Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh.
So if you're not able to like get to conferences or to shops for events, Magic.com is really awesome because they will do regularly signed copies of things, and you generally get a better price than Amazon or the regular price. So they're a cool place to check out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Lonnie.
Yeah, we love Lonnie. Yeah, I love Lonnie. Check out Lonnie's show. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good year. I feel like magic is afoot for the first time in a while. I feel like I was just at a conference saying this. I feel like we have been asleep for a little bit, and we've been hibernating, and we've been waiting, and the pandemic isn't over. All these things, it's all real. We know that, but we're moving on, and we're finding the light. It's like I said, it's like tulips cracking through the snow, and there's still something quite alive underneath all of that has been, so hibernating, and we're all waking up, and I feel that magic is pumping out. I'm excited. I know Sam over at Wiser. I'm going to talk to Sam next week.
Oh, fantastic.
And so there's just super exciting, all of the energy that's being pumped back into the publishing houses, and all of the energy that's being just available now. It's so inspiring. I'm super excited about it. Thank you, Marcus. I will see you in August, and I will talk to you sooner than that, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Devin. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And everybody, don't forget to check out the Modern Witch Book Club with Matt and I. This month we are working with Psychic Witch, which is his book. So if you are a fan of Matt's, then all you got to do is join, and you can walk through the whole book process with Matt. Which is kind of mind-blowing and incredible. He's never done this before. So definitely come on over to the Modern Witch official Facebook group, and links are in the description below. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We will see. Actually, I'll see you very soon because I'm going to be dropping a video in the next couple of days. So, all right. Talk soon.